Looks good, Miss Bell. Looking good. All right, so hey guys, welcome to Appalachia's Homestead. I want to update you on everything that's going on with Miss Bell. On our last episode, the last episode that we had, I was letting you know that I was calling the vet out. I thought she was gonna, or that we were gonna have to. It looked like I felt she was gonna lose that quarter. When I said that, guys, an udder for a cow has four little departments, each one being called a quarter, and each one has obviously its own teat. So the mastitis that she luckily is isolated to just one quarter. So, you know, we've medicated her, and I figured we would probably have to have the vet out one more time because, see, Miss Bell, like, you know, I love her like a baby doll, but she is an active participant in the homesteading life here. She is a producer. So this is what we're trying to do, is we want to go ahead and breed all three of our girls at the same time. You know, I waited a little bit longer to get my my little heifer here up to breeding age, and then bring in a bull, and then let them, you know, let the chips fall where they do, right, where they may. We were going to try to breed Belle at least one more time. She's produced beautiful calves. She's a great milker. But obviously, we've been hit with this before we brought a bull. I still think that is a silver lining because, you know, we don't want to risk having, you know, done something and causing her to basically pass the baby. But anyway, long story short, so I went ahead and I called the vet because it looked like part of her udder was dying. You know, it looked like the skin was dying. We didn't want to regress with anything. We had already understood that there was a chance that it was going to rupture, or that we would have to have it lanced to start that process. Okay, so we already knew that would be potentially coming. So the vet looked at her. I want to mentally prepare you for what I'm about to show you. If you're a little squeamish, you might want to, you know, avoid it. If you're eating, you know, you're eating something particularly kind of, I don't know, I would put it down. You know, it just depends on you. So I've given you the warning. Here is what mastitis, the infection, here's what it looks like.
Oh, that's infection. I am really surprised.
Right? So here's the deal. I want you to see that, and I want you to understand how this was done. And I'm not saying for you to do it or for me to do it, but the vet was called. He cleaned her. He checked her over, all of these things, and he kept poking and trying to find a spot that essentially was dead. So then he actually tested her several times, pinpricking her in a sense to make sure, to understand, okay, yeah, this is dead. There's no blood flow really happening here anymore. And the reason he's doing that, the vet explained, which makes total sense. He said, you can't just come into here or with any cow and decide you're going to lance a mastitis or an infection and just start going hog wild with that. You can't do that. He said the bleeding is way too immense. And that makes sense because obviously, especially if she's been in milk, that activity is going to be much higher when she's in milk or she's bred or she's whatever. So anyway, so he said, we have to find a specific spot that's dead enough to where this won't happen. Well, lo and behold, he found it. And he said, I can leave this alone, let it happen on its own, or he said, we can make a clean break with it and she can start this process now. He said, I'm telling you, it's going to happen whether I'm here or not. So we elected, because she was very calm, and we actually did. I'll just say he tied her foot just so she could lift, but she couldn't kick. So just to make sure the vet didn't get kicked, but she didn't even really flinch. It was so dead, and all of the infection is pouring out. So what I'm having to do twice a day is clean the area. So we just finished. That's what you see the bucket of the cleaning supplies for. I didn't take my camera out there because it's so wet and slippery and muddy, and she was being good, so we just went with it. All I'm doing is lightly washing, assessing. So I got a quick little shot of that. Spraying betadine, washing, and going with it. The goal is to do, and oh, then I have to put a fly spray. Even though we really don't have flies right now, we wanted to go, he said, put that on there. He said, you shouldn't have a problem because of the weather, where we are right now in December. So he said, here's the deal. So here's the thing. He said, your cow is very healthy. He said, she's pretty much out of the woods if this continues. He said, you're over the hump, way over the hump. So here's the deal. We're going to just go forward with this. What's going to happen is the lining inside of the quarter will either shed out, or basically everything will start to just shrivel up. It will eventually pretty much just shrivel up is what's going to happen now. And her body, the reason she's so healthy, he said, the reason she's doing so good, her body response was perfect. He said, because she walled it off. And I was like, are you saying? He said, she literally walled that quarter off. He said, the chances of it spreading are very small. So we did get a lot of the drainage out. We then did have to clean it up, and it's isolated, and all of that's gone and cleaned up, even per the vet. The vet helped us do it. And we've let her be in the field. We're going to let her be in the field. We don't want to, it's going to be worse on her to be in a stall where she would definitely would lay down in her own feces, or where maybe things are draining. So it was best, since she's up and out, we've kept most of the creatures on this side, and she's out in the field. And the vet said, he said, she's going to drain some after we've cleaned the majority of it up. He said, that's just the process. So what we're doing is we're waiting to see if the lining is going to come out. If it does, I probably will have to call the vet for him to remove that. Other than that, we're fingers crossed, it's pretty much just going to dissolve on its own, but we do have to keep it very, very clean. So we're going to see how it rolls with Miss Belle. She's back to normal. And like I said in my last video, the goal was to breed her and to have her produce at least one more calf, hopefully on the farm. Maybe I would get to milk her. So I probably won't milk her anymore, but if she gives us a healthy calf, that would be great, but I'm not pushing that issue either. So right now the importance is to get our very, very, very important animal back to health, because we value her on the farm. So if you have any questions, let me know. But I think it's important to show some of these pictures or these visuals because, again, this is going back to understanding, you can't just go do this or do that. There's certain ways it has to be done, or you have to wait a certain time period to do it. And that's why, again, having a very good vet and customer relationship is so very important, because you just never know what's going to happen on your farm. And even with that, are you truly qualified and confident enough to do certain things? Lancing, I've never lanced an udder or a quarter of an udder in my life. And, I've been kicked in the face. I've been knocked out in the face by a cow. I'd like to not do that again. So, I just want to stress that everybody needs to do what works best for them and their farm. People have different attitudes on, the threshold of whether you keep or let go of certain things. I'm not judging people on that. Miss Belle is very important to us. And, the timing of her in our lives has been precious. So I want to make sure I'm providing the best care for her. We just don't call it quits because something necessarily gets sick. We give it everything that we've got. So I just want to clarify that. All right, guys, we got more videos coming up. Everybody's eating and we're progressing. Fingers crossed. I'll keep you posted. But just to say again, who would have ever thought we would if you had told me a month ago I'd be dealing with mastitis right before Christmas, I would have said, what are you talking about? See, anything can happen. That's why we prepare. All right, guys, I'm going to break. Hope you're having a good night. Thank you for being here. Like, share, support, whatever. We thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next video.